Well, thank you to both of our panelists. And now, of course, it's time to open up for questions, as you'd expect. I have a couple. But given the size of the challenge, the opportunity, or even the threat presented by this subject, I'm expecting that many of you have questions you'd like to ask. Just a reminder, #askfipp.com, or if you want to comment and update, #FIPPcongress.com. We have one question here in the front row. Any others, raise your hand. So could we have a microphone? It's hurtling down the aisle towards you, sir. If you give us your name and organisation.
Yeah, Barry McElhinney, PPA, London. Thank you, David. That was terrific. Question for you. So you said, rightly I think, that we should be worried about brand owners moving into this space and wanting to own this space. At what point do they start to hire our editors? Or are they already doing this? Because if you're old-fashioned enough to believe that that's one of the key differences that make what we do special from what Coca-Cola can do, what happens when they start stealing our talent?
Well, I think certainly in the content space, that's already happened. So I think perhaps the most perfect example is Net-a-Porter, the fashion website, now has more editorial staff than Harper's Bazaar in the UK. And Mr. Porter, which is the men's version of Net-a-Porter, hired the editor of Esquire to run its content side. Now, Net-a-Porter and Mr. Porter are not branded. They are independent platforms. But arguably, Harvey Nichols should have been doing that. And they missed a trick. So I think very clearly, already what's happening is that content players in the game are targeting editorial quality as a key part of the service, and quite rightly. You will struggle, I think, to hang on to your people because they will be looking at their business model and worrying about the future. Whereas you look at Mr. Porter or Net-a-Porter, which has gone on a phenomenal growth journey, and you think that's where the future is. So I would be very concerned if I was still running a magazine about the best editorial people, either going to independent digital platforms or increasingly going to brands or to agencies like ours, where we're in the game of content creation now alongside our clients.
Layla, would you agree with that? Do you think editors from magazines are going to be moving?
Totally, of course, with David. What probably we can add is the fact that we need to have in our mind every minute that people are neutral. So when we talk about magazine, we should think about magazine in different devices, channels, and the difference is that brands are asking to media owners and publishers to be partners, to help them with content, because you are publishers are content kings. Brands are still learning, still starting to understand if they should be really totally media owner or publisher, or it's a matter of integration and partnership.
Well, in a moment, I'd like to ask you both about the role of magazine publishing companies as content marketers in the old contract publishing or content publishing piece, and is there still a space for that? But let's have a look out there for any more questions from the floor. You know the form, just raise your hand and give us your name and company, and I'll come to you. There's one. No, that's just an involuntary movement to the head. Okay, we'll come back to that if it proves to be more serious. Okay, so my question then is, many magazine publishing companies already have contract publishing, content creation, content marketing divisions who are publishing magazine brands, online services for clients. Is there a role for those, or are we going to see a move towards either in-house for the client or very specialist agencies who exist only to do content marketing?
So I think Layla's right. I think that for most brands, now is where they're trying to work out which way to go. Do they partner or do they build their own capability? I think if the business, the magazine business, recognizes that opportunity but also that threat and adopts the key success factors of working in a largely digital content space, then I think there's a great opportunity for the business to engage with brands and be the solution to what they need to do. But you know, the problem with the contract publishing model is it liquid and linked? No, it isn't. It's rigid and it's within a box, and it's a page that becomes a page on a tablet. That's not the future. So you have to kind of learn to decouple the content from the page, both literally and metaphorically.
Okay. Could we just do a quick check then before we close? Who now in the room, in your own publishing media companies, is generating revenue from creating content digitally on behalf of clients? In other words, not just producing ads, but actually creating content on behalf of clients. So that's my whole business, so I'll put my hand up. Okay, so that's a smattering in the room. Okay, and who thinks that it's a direction that your company should be taking? That's quite a few more. And who thinks it's a terrible idea that makes a mess of the purity of magazine publishing? That's nobody. Well, panel, it sounds like there is some hope for us, but I guess you're both saying that we need to start activating the idea of content creation, and not just magazines, but as you said, liquid content infrastructures, brand ecosystems to make that work. Could we close by asking you, and this may be a difficult one, if you could give one piece of advice to magazine publishing companies coming in to talk to you or to your clients about what they might do, what should they be concentrating on? What do you want to hear from the people in the audience? So if we can start, Layla, with you.
Yeah. My suggestion is, first of all, to be open-minded. Don't say no, it's not possible. We need to be flexible, and the other thing is think about the possibility to create different business model. It's not just a matter of visibility, it's a matter to be partner. And maybe a new business model is exactly share of revenue. We need to measure and understand very well how to organize a business model based on share of revenue. But it could be another solution to make money.
Absolutely. And David?
My plea would be, when you come into the meeting, think about the client and what they need, not about what you've got to offer.
Okay, sensible advice. Okay, I'm going to ask you in a moment to thank our panel, and then we're going to move on to a couple of 100-second pitches. So thank you, panel.